well. One way to tell him apart from the others is he has something called an underbite. So his lower jaw sticks out a little bit further than his upper jaw. And working with Orin and Amanda today is the youngest member of our pod, and his name is Trooper. Trooper is going to be 4 years old this year, and he kind of has a special story. You may notice that he does have some scarring along the right side of his body, and that's because he was found when he was really little, stranded on a beach off the coast of Louisiana. And this is caused from sunburn from being out of the water for too long. But the nice man found Trooper, and they called a stranding facility, and he was taken into a stranding facility in Texas. And at that point, because he was so little, he was not able to be reintroduced back into the wild, and we were chosen as his forever home. And we're very thankful that he came here to hang out with us. He's a fun little guy, learns things super quick, and catches on by watching the other dolphins, and is just pretty smart overall. Now our dolphins here, they are Atlantic bottlenose dolphins, and they have some really cool, unique features about them that make them pretty amazing. So up front, they've got two big eyes, and these help them see throughout the water. They can see all the way down at the bottom of our pool, about 27 feet, can judge exactly where they need to come up to hit the high target buoy. And also behind their eyes, they've got two little pinhole ears. Now these pinhole ears, they wouldn't want to have external ear flaps because that might slow them down in the water, but they can hear pretty well underwater. And now one way that dolphins actually make their way around their environment and help see in their environment is using something called echolocation. This we have a slowed down version of on a sound, and then we call it a click. But underwater, it sounds more like a buzzing sound. The dolphins will emit this echolocation buzzing out through their forehead or their melon and bounces off an object out in the water. This is especially important when they're in murky waters to help create a picture of what's around them. And those sounds, once they bounce back, they come actually down through the lower jaw to help create a mental picture of what's in the environment. Now going back on the dolphin a little bit, they do have some really cool pectoral fins, those fins up front. Those pectoral fins, if you actually take an x-ray of them and take an x-ray of a human hand, they all actually have the same bone structure as us, which is really cool. Now these fins are used for braking and steering as they're moving super fast through the water. These guys can swim in bursts of up to 20 miles per hour. And imagine going that fast, you're going to need some balance as you're moving through the water. So that big dorsal fin on the top acts kind of like a keel of a boat. It helps keep them nice and stabilized and balanced as they're moving through the water. And behind that fin, we've got two tail flukes. Now these tail flukes are the powerhouse of the dolphin. It helps them swim really, really fast. They'll move those tail flukes up and down, which is kind of opposite of what fish do. Fish actually move their tails side to side. Dolphins and other marine mammals are going to move those tails up and down to propel through the water. Now here at the zoo, we do lots of different training with these guys, and training sessions every day look a little bit different. So we can do things, one of my favorite things is to come out and do husbandry behaviors. So these are behaviors that allow us to take care of our animals. Sometimes if you have dogs or cats, when they go to the vet, they often may be a little nervous or shy when they go, and sometimes they have to do things that they're not really sure what's happening. So we try to prepare as much as possible with our dolphins for any vet procedures that may need to occur with them. We do have vets here on staff every day of the week, and if we ever need to come down and do any sort of procedure with them, we hopefully have a lot of these things trained. So little things like asking them to open their mouth so we can see inside and make sure everything looks okay. They're used to us touching their teeth, their tongues, their gums, and their throat. That way, in case we need to insert any dental tools, we can. We can ask for a simple thing like a chuff sample. So this is where the dolphin exhales very forcefully out of that blowhole on the top of their head. Let's see here if we can hear them. Great job. We'll actually hold a cup over their blowhole as they're breathing out to be able to collect a sample. Now, other ones that we may train may be a little more expensive. So asking them to lay out in different positions so we can do voluntary ultrasounds with these guys. A few of our dolphins are trained to actually come up and do x-rays. So if you look at stage, you'll see that big clear platform. One of our dolphins is actually trained to come up onto that platform. We can slide an x-ray plate underneath, and then he's used to us holding a machine over top of him to be able to get x-rays, maybe of his lungs, his liver, kidneys, things like that. And we can also do voluntary blood samples with these guys. So along both of the tail flukes, there is a very faint line where their blood veins are, and this is where we actually get a blood sample from. Blood samples are one of the most important things that we train, because if a dolphin ever starts to act off, this is usually our first go-to to check and make sure their blood work looks okay. Now we can do other types of training as well. So one that you may see during this presentation is a gating session. So everything we ask our dolphins to do is voluntary, and we want them to be comfortable doing anything that we ask. So sometimes this takes a little bit of courage from our dolphins and working things throughout the day. So over on this side, you may see occasionally our trainers taking the dolphins into the back, and you may see a trainer standing on the gate at times. We want our dolphins to know that it's okay if they get separated from each other, maybe even just for a short moment, that we are going to put them back with their friends. And so we try to build up over time their comfort level, and maybe we need to separate them for the day, and then we'll put them back together at night. We want them to be comfortable doing this in any of our pools. We have 4 pools total, so we work this in several different areas. So you may see them randomly throughout this chat going back and forth between our back pool and our front pool with a person on the gate. And over time, they'll get used to this. They'll get used to a person being there. They'll get used to the gate opening and closing, and then we'll work up the amount of time that they're separated. And this may be important for things like medical procedures. Maybe we need to take a look at one of our dolphins. We need them maybe in a back pool where they'll let us do that. Other things we do with these guys, we do fun training sessions. So all those big behaviors you're seeing, even our little behaviors, are things that we've taught them or captured them doing throughout the day. So little things like asking them to wave for us and mimicking our behavior. This is a trained behavior. We got Mandy over here demonstrating that with Oren and Trooper. We have other mimicry behaviors like doing things such like pirouettes, or Mandy was asking for what we call a pet fly, so they'll come up out of the water and wave those pectoral fins back at us. And then we also train those big, high, fun, high energy behaviors as well. So one of the very first things that we ever train our dolphins to do is something that we call a target. We can use this with a target pull, so pretty much a stick with a bead on the end of it. Other times we may use our hand as a guide. We also call that a target as well. But they're pretty much taught to place their rostrum on that target, and we can use our hand or a pole as a guide to shape all the behaviors that they learn. And eventually, as they start catching on, we add in all the different hand signals that may go with that behavior, and we'll start fading the target pull out. And in the end, you get a really fun behavior on a really cool hand signal. Now, one very important thing to us here at the zoo is conservation. We care not only about our dolphins here, but their counterparts out in the wild. Living here in the landlocked state of Indiana, you may think that you don't have a big impact on dolphins all over the world, but in fact we do. All of our waterways are connected, so the little things we do